What is up, Geeks Worldwide? What is up? We are back. It's another Tuesday, and that means it's time for another GWW Capes Crew podcast. As always, I am your host, Darth Sparrow, and I'm excited to be back with not only one, but two amazing guests, but we will get to them in a moment. But first, I'm excited because I'm joined by two of my co-hosts from the past, from the back catalogs of the GWW libraries.
Dead no more.
Dead no more. And that voice, of course, is the gentleman I want to introduce first tonight, back from the grave. So excited to have him back, Mr. Brad Bell. The guy who makes this show look a little more polished and smart is back, so we might get a little bit more smart credit points over here. Brad, what's up?
Make it a little Southern charm. I don't know about smart credit points, that's for sure. But
we'll go with Southern charm then.
Okay, man, it's an honor to be back on the air with now Geeks Worldwide. It's been I hate we used all the dead puns because it's been a rough couple of months. My grandfather's been very sick, who I was extremely close to. Yeah. And there's an article I got on the site now kind of talking about how he shaped my path to comics and Star Wars and all this stuff that we all love. So check that out. But he loved watching these podcasts. He would listen to us. And I know he would want me to be back on here. So I'm honored to be back on here tonight. Thanks for having me. And we got two good guests on top of that.
Brad, thank you for sharing that, man. We send Gramps all our love and our best and healing thoughts and all that good stuff, man.
Yeah, sorry to hear.
I appreciate it, guys.
But hey, man, what have you been up to? Like besides that, how was your Christmas? How was your holidays? All that good stuff.
It was okay. I mean, you had The Force Awakens, which did not let me down one bit. I know it's too close to A New Hope, maybe, but people complain that the prequels weren't close enough to the original, so I'm not complaining one bit. I loved Kylo Ren despite his emo hair. And that kind of made...
How come he never had helmet head? That's what I want to know.
We all wonder that.
Maybe that is helmet head. Maybe it would be totally different.
Personally, I can't wait until the next movie. Personally, I can't wait until the next movie when Finn and Poe, make their relationship canon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
What's the fanfic term for Finn Poe slash?
Oh, it's Storm Pilot. It's Storm Pilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's been finagled into drawing Finn in a Sailor Scout suit on Twitter.
Oh my
yes!
God.
It was kind of awesome. Kind of awesome. Especially since I had no idea what my friends were talking about when they, pinged me and asked me to do it. Yeah, sure, no problem. There you go. My work here is done.
Brad, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Other than that kind of made my Christmas because I was looking forward to that for so many years. But I've been watching my team, the Carolina Panthers, go 15-1, and hopefully we have a playoff game right up the street, 20 minutes down the road in Charlotte. We're going to beat Seattle Sunday. So
we're also welcoming back these sports references on GWW Capes Crew.
Will, why don't you enlighten our guest what happens every time?
Every time you're on, Brad? I don't remember. What do we do every time there's a sports reference? We drink, right?
That's right.
We drink.
But it's moved up to Tuesday nights now, so I don't know if that's the best idea.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We'll take shots of water, okay?
Yeah, this is in fact not vodka. It is tea. Dishwasher's busted. It's a glamorous life.
At least you got the red Solo cup.
I do.
Makes it feel like it.
Awesome. Also joining us tonight back on the podcast is Mr. Tyler Pollock. What's up, man?
Nothing much. I am here just ready to talk to our amazing guest.
Here in your humble abode, joining us again. We're so excited to have you back too. Man, I got everybody back from the grave tonight. What happened? What did we do? How did we get you all back?
Dead no more.
That's right. Dead no more. I don't know if we're going to talk about...
Eventually we'll explain that, maybe someday.
Hopefully.
No, we won't.
We won't.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I couldn't anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Hey, nobody has to explain it, and all of our listeners would pay $3.99 for it because it's Marvel.
No, they'll pay $5.99 because that's the event comic. That's the event comic like baseline now. It's like $4 or $5 or something. I'm really done with Marvel.
That's why I've gone digital now.
Anyway,
Yes.
we have amazing guests.
We do! Let's introduce our amazing guest. Tonight, joining us from some of the creative team behind the amazing image comic No Mercy, we have the lovely Alex Campi and Carla Speed McNeil. Your name just sounds so cool. Welcome to the show, ladies. We're excited to have you. How are you doing tonight?
Can't complain.
Yeah, good.
If I do, I'll try to make it funny.
And you guys missed it. We had before the show went live, we had GWW and Cape's dog episode where everybody was showing off their dogs. I felt very left out because I don't own a dog, but thank you for sharing the dogs, ladies. Alex, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. January is a busy month for me.
Yeah.
My next book, I'm hand lettering it. I already do a lot of like hand lettering effects that Carla essentially taught me to do during No Mercy because she roughs in the dialogue in her pencils, which is fabulous because that's why there's always room for the dialogue. And gives me all sorts of great ideas, and I try to translate that digitally. Gotcha. And so I freehand the balloons, but I'd still use like a regular Comic Craft font for the actual dialogue. And now I'm...
When you're not going bananas with all the fans.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm actually like drawing each letter because why not disappear into a craft hole?
Why not?
I strongly recommend if you write comics that you should letter at least one book of yours because it keeps you so much more honest. Right. I really enjoy it. I have a lot of fun. I love like dissociative activities where I can just do something which requires like artistic concentration, but not too much concentration.
Sure.
You know, like running or like painting walls or lettering comics. Things you can just let your brain go, and I find them very relaxing and exciting. Although it does mean that every comic I make, it takes like twice as long as a normal person would.
That's all right. It's because you're putting care and awesome into them. Well, we're
the quality shows. The quality shows.
Indeed, indeed it does. So, ladies, we'll ask you our typical question that we ask all our guests is, let's talk about your geeky origin story, and we'll start with Carla. And Carla, how let's go back to your geeky origins and how you got into comics, or maybe how long have you been doing comics? What were you doing before comics?
Oh, you want me to talk about how I started, or the life of artist as a young nerd kind of thing?
Yeah, let's start from there. That's always
good. When I was about 8, I stole a classic X-Men comic from one of my cousins. Y'all will know the number, of course, because it's that famous, Days of Future Past cover with, all of the, everybody's dead, oh no's, images and everything. And I totally ganked it from my cousin because I'm a terrible person, or at least I was at age 8. And then a different relative stashed this huge moldy box of ghastly ECs and stuff like that, just, old horror comics in my house to keep them away from his mom. Yeah. And I read all of those things at a very impressionable age. And, I don't dare go back and dig them up now because I know they are going to be completely ridiculous things. Oh, I'm going to say this spell out of this moldy old book so that I can get back at the mean pom-pom girl, and oops, I turned into a monster and I killed her, oh no, and now I'm a monster on the rampage and I can never go back to my ordinary life, oh how sad. I know it's going to be stuff like that, but at the age me absolutely got under my fingernails. Yeah. And then my mom found them and she got rid of them. Oh. Boom, all gone. Well,
raise your hand if your parents threw away at least some of your comics.
Well, they weren't mine, but in a way they were mine.
Yeah. No, I somewhat like Carla. My entry drug to comics was Claremont's X-Men, Dark Phoenix Saga, things like that.
Right.
The Brood. Ugh.
Oh God.
Man.
Also, probably the reason I write so much smut now is thanks to Claremont and his weird bondage ideas. Come on, Storm Arena, come on, Chris.
Yeah.
Possibly the worst X-Men arc ever written that wasn't called Draco. Man, like, what happened to the X-Men comics? I mean, I suppose I've never gone back and read all the books that kind of made me into, like, Punk Storm was my world. I started reading just as Punk Storm showed up, and I was like, yes, wonderful.
Yep. Fancy, designy, pretty.
Yeah, and I haven't gone back and read those books, possibly because I'm afraid they're actually quite rubbish.
Like my ECs.
Yeah, I want to, like, I don't know, like, have the X-Men ever actually really, really been good, or have I just been deceiving myself all these years? Like, is my disappointment in current X-Men, like, just something predicated on just being wrong about early X-Men? I mean, I want them to be good. Why are they not better?
Claremont's run was legendary. That was some of the first stuff I've ever read. Here's the problem, Alex. This generation is too lazy to read Claremont, Expedition, and Dialogue. You open one of those things and it's more word bubbles than it is, the art, and people kind of freak out. But when you really dive in, it's really a good balance. So
yeah, there's story. I mean, that's one of the things we try to do with No Mercy, and like, I get really frustrated, especially because comics are now $3.99 or more. When you read an entire book, like 22 or 20-page comic, and nothing happens in it except like superheroes shout at each other, and which was basically Axis as far as I could tell. It's like,
oh God, can we please never mention Axis again? that was my first Marvel event. Yeah. So
and your last.
Secret Wars
was not his last. Not his last.
So okay, it was my first Marvel event. So what did I do? I bought every single thing with an Axis title on it, and like the only.
No! I learned to do that during like shit like Red Skies, and I'm like, why? No, you never buy everything. Like, they saw you coming. Oh my God.
You're the guy that they live for over in the Marvel offices.
Well, hey, would it make you feel any better that I have an entire long box that's just Secret Wars 2015? Because all the concepts sound interesting, and I'm a sucker for alternate realities. But as far as I'm concerned, the only good things that came out of Axis was the Loki arc and the Magneto arc, because Agent Asgard and Magneto, Cullen Bunn, great. Read it.
Yes, good writers. But yeah, I got in via Claremont's X-Men, which I loved. I remember picking up some Avengers issues and thinking they were rubbish. They were like, it was like fucking Hank Pym, and Hank Pym will never be interesting to me. Like, you can keep trying. It's kind of like Inhumans. You can keep trying, boo, but it's not going to happen. Like it's like Fetch. Like, Fetch will never happen. The Inhumans will never happen. Hank Pym will never happen.
Let Fetch happen, okay?
Fetch will never happen.
That's right.
I'm so glad we managed to get a Mean Girls reference in here.
Already.
Hank Pym's just such an asshole, though. He's very unlikable. I mean, in the Ultimate Comics, he took a can of bug spray and sprayed the Wasp.
Wow.
So she was hurt.
I mean, I'm going to say this right now. There's a new Giant Man, and he's a gay Indian man, so I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah.
I would be too. So I fell away from comics after that because I discovered like boys and rock and roll. And then when I was in London, a friend of mine was moving out of his army barracks, and he said, "Hey Alex, you look like the sort of person who would like comics. Here's a huge stack of 2000 ADs and like good Vertigo comics. Back when like Vertigo hadn't quite just flogged the corpse of Sandman into some sort of sad falling apart flog zombiness. Yeah. Preacher, things like that. Really like fabulous books. And then I got back into comics a lot, and it's kind of been downhill and quite expensive ever since.
Yeah.
It's an expensive hobby, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, ladies, tell us how you got into comics. Alex, how'd you get into writing? When did you start writing comics?
I just had a bunch of friends in London who wrote comics and drew comics, and I would go to the pub with them, and then they were like, "Why don't you write comics?" And you're a writer, so I did. And that was pretty much it. You know, my first book was Smoke from IDW with Eagle 40, and then you know, I'd been directing a lot of like music videos and commercials at the same time, and so I was bouncing back and forth between those things. And then I also had a kid and stuff. So my career was never quite like this kind of straight line, simple thing. It kind of is becoming that now, but it took me a long time to kind of find my place in the industry. The industry was changing a lot. Part of it is that I have very little interest. I have great affection for a lot of the Marvel DC characters. I have almost no interest in writing them because, frankly, there were all these snips of like things that were happening at the Marvel Executive Retreat for Civil War II, and I'm like, I would rather stick forks into my eyes than be involved in those conversations. It seems like fucking misery. Like, why would you do that? Also, like, why do you like? This is embarrassing, but like, my best action scenes are worth more than $100 a page. Like, they have a street value of more than $100 a page right now. So, like, for me to go back and write corporate characters to deal with like all of the bullshit involved, and there's so much bullshit. B, like the toxicity, because if you're a female creator and you write those corporate characters, you start getting rape and death threats. You know, like I speak to some of the other female creators, and like people don't normally give me shit because I'm 5'10", I can kickbox, and like, you know, try me, motherfucker. Like, just bring it.
Yeah. I'm ready.
But I just, you know, like, that's not enough money for me to deal with all that crap. And, you know, asking me to go do the work for hire, right, would be like asking a cartelista to, like, give up La Vida Coca and go back to dealing hash to, like, college students.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Alex, once you've done Archie versus Predator, Cap versus Iron Man really doesn't compare, right?
Well, see, I think I have done a fair amount of work for hire. I'm doing some film stuff now as well. But you know, I've been very careful with it. And it's always been companies that have just kind of said, okay, we want you because this is what you do. There's not going to be any bullshit. Like, just make something funny, and or make it exciting, or do this. And it's just been me and one other person. You know, I mean, and Archie versus Predator was a complicated book. I had to make Dark Horse happy. I had to make Fox happy because they have the Predator license.
Yeah.
And I had to make Archie happy because of the Archie characters. We still managed to sneak a Frank Castle reference in there. I'm very proud of that. And we managed to convince Fox that teenage predators should talk in emoji, which is still like one of my all-time wins.
That was so wild.
Like, we just couldn't believe they did. We just kind of mentioned it in the script, and then they didn't come back. They came back on notes that we couldn't say like designer brand names, but they were fine with the emoji, and we're like, okay.
You won that one.
Yeah, next.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not against doing work for hire as a concept. The checks are nice.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very different situation for most artists, although some of the politics of last-minute changes can be extremely grueling on the art team, especially in, you know, some of the DC offices that seem more impulsive and have a lot of planning changes. It's very important which editor and team you work with these companies, between whether you have a really great experience or you have a really, really terrible experience. But from the point of view of a writer, you know, the large corporate stuff is just not appealing.
Yeah.
And I'm solidly busy on creator-owned work. Like, I don't have any time.
Yeah.
I have to finish hand lettering a book this week. And then I have to letter No Mercy 8.
Wow.
Which is half inked. Gonna get done. It's happening.
Carla, how did you and Alex meet?
At a Baltimore Comic Con.
Okay.
We had actually I don't remember exactly how we met in order to do Smoke and Ashes, because I did part of that book.
Yeah,
so,
I think maybe through Colleen.
On that one. What?
I think it was through Colleen Duran.
Probably. And so, you know, I had done this chunk of that book, And I got to do my very first super secret evil lab. I'm very proud of it, with hoses and, inexplicable liquids and, all kinds of, horrible, sad victims and everything.
Right.
And a guy in a lab coat, got to have a guy in a lab, going catwalks and drains and all that good stuff. Anyway, so having done that, we were both at Baltimore Comic Con.
Yeah.
I had my head down over sketches or whatever, and Alex came and addressed the top of my head and got some books and came back 15 minutes later and said, "You do good, teenagers. You want to do something?" And I said, "Sure." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Really?" And that was it.
Pretty much. And then it took us like a year. I brought the first issue really quickly, and then it took us a year to place it for a variety of reasons, which are complicated.
And boring.
Mostly other people's complications. You spend a lot of time in comics waiting for things to happen. Like, so much waiting. And often the things, like, sometimes the things are like, okay, well, that's really annoying, and I'm mad about it. But a lot of the times the things are just like something you can't be mad about because, like, someone has a family issue, or they get on a really good miniseries that's going to give them a lot of money, and then they can afford to do your series, and but just waiting, or the publisher just takes a while about something, or it's like, hey, we want this to be our lead-off 2017 book. Like, really? We have 5 issues in the can, and I want attention and validation. I'm a writer.
Show me happy for a thing, please.
Yeah, I have no books out right now. I mean, I've got, of all the books I have 3 books, 3 miniseries approved and written for this year. Well, I've got to write issue 5 of one of them, the last issue this week. Well, hand lettering the other thing. One of them I had to fire the artist.
Wow.
We're now almost done it, and with a new art team, actually much better and really nice to work with, which is different from the original artist, who was not nice. Comics is too frustrating and like hard to have people sending you caps lock emails about bullshit. It's like, I'm not paid enough for this. Especially, well, I'm not taking any advance for it, so I'm certainly not paid enough for it, and I'm learning it for free. And the second one, my artist had a minor health complication, so we pushed it back to keep him, to love him. And, you got to dance with the one that brought you, unless the one that brought you is a heaving asshole and then you fire him. And then the other one, the artist who's really well known, is just finishing up a work-for-hire book that has all sorts of complications and changes. And so rather than starting in December, he's now starting in April. So, waiting, so much waiting. I'm waiting on another contract for a work-for-hire gig that they want me to turn around really fast, but I can't do that unless they give me the contract. Hurry up and wait. And then, my other work-for-hire gig came through, and now I have to do that next week, too. Yay. Hurry up and wait, then write it quickly.
Let's talk about this amazing book, No Mercy, because it's a really exciting book. I haven't gotten a chance to read the last issue you sent us, so I'm waiting to read it after the show. But a super exciting, thrilling book. Talk about where the idea for this story came from.
A lot of my work is about a lot of the things I do don't actually involve superpowers or the supernatural or like magic or stuff. It's just people in a room or people on a bus. And also a lot of the ongoing themes of my work is being a foreigner, either being an expatriate, a United States citizen abroad, or being new to the U.S. And experiencing it for the first time, and possibly and whether you speak the language and the culture clashes and your assumptions and attitudes and the attitudes and assumptions about people towards you. And so No Mercy is about was about a lot of my experiences traveling in some ways, but kind of amped up to 11 and changed. It's essentially a group of kids who are going to be freshmen in college in the fall take a 2-week pre-college trip to build schools in Central America. Voluntourism. They're going to be Ivy League college students. They're all very smart. They're kind of Pavlovianly conditioned to do things that look good, and so they all sort of shuffle off to this fictitious Central American country to build schools in a small remote mountain village.
Right.
On the way there, bad things happen. Bad things
really
continue
bad
to happen. Really bad things happen. Yeah. There's a lot of drama. I always like to say it's a John Hughes script directed by Sam Peckinpah. Which, you know, it's like someone handed 16
Imagine
candles.
the soundtrack. Totally new soundtrack.
Alex,
To a soundtrack by like Skrillex or something.
In this book, you really nailed the age-old truth that high school kids are mean. They just are. Like, I'm a high school teacher, and I love working with young people, but you guys remember from high school, I do too. Kids can be very mean, and one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you went to Princeton, right, Alex?
Yes, I did.
And just kind of that exposure of elitism and you taking that and examining that, how did your experience at an Ivy League school like Princeton and probably interacting and seeing a lot of people like your characters, maybe not as harsh as some of those characters, how did that impact your work here?
It's tough to say. I mean, we could sit down over a beer or a soda, and I could tell you crazy Princeton stories. I could tell you the story about the slumlord's son, Lefrak, who showed up his freshman year with a cane and tweed trousers. The Hungarian countess, whose mom would send her things from Bergdorf's, and then she just chucked them in the trash because they were so awful. Who named her Lady Parts Maggie. The story of that story of which is not suitable for the iTunes audience, but it's a very good one. And her gay best friend, who then became Mark Jacobs' lover and died of AIDS. Quite sad. He's a very nice guy. Good hot too. I could tell you about a girl who was asked in her freshman year, like her early freshman year, because she was Latina from Texas, if her mom was a maid. Like there's a lot, like the Princeton experience is extremely varied. Like I don't think I even interacted with any of the black experience. I had black friends, but there was a very specific and quite difficult black experience at Princeton. There were a lot of the black fraternities and sororities, which I didn't, which were not part of my culture. So, as part of, it's a strange place full of traditions, and it's a wonderful place. But like any college, there are so many stories within it, and so many different experiences. I mean, some of them I'm actually going to use. There's the Peanut Butter Girl story, which will be in a couple of arcs' time. They're really heartbreaking stories of like almost kind of like girls that weren't sure if they were raped or not. And there was some sort of complicity because they wanted to be at the party, but what really happened, and then they were very drunk, and so I can find drama in anything. I really can. I mean, there's so much. Obviously in the sort of immediate peril of the kids' situation in Central America, we've already done so much. But I think one of the fun things that we do with No Mercy is that there's the really big perils, like the coyotes, and the nasty drug dealer brother, and all those sorts of things. But a lot of the real tense moments come from like the very quiet moments between the students. And that's really important to me. It's like there's all this great melodramatic crap happening, and then two people have a quiet conversation where someone decides not to talk to someone in a certain way, which then causes something to happen down the line. Or like, some students decide not to comfort another student and not to come to their aid.
Right.
And they're not big moments. They're not like big screaming like, I'm going to leave you here moments. It's just people turning away.
Yeah.
I think that's what strikes people as very human about the book.
Sure.
Yeah. And just the fact that it can go from such dramatic and high intense moments to, oh God, I'm forgetting his name. The Freegan guy and the fire.
Travis.
Yes, there we go. Travis. Travis and his colored fire.
Yes.
I just and like the way you, Carla, the way you drew like his expressions and just his arms everywhere.
Look
who's doing it, and then like in that moment, you kind of forget that a girl was dragged off and she was kind of partially eaten by coyotes.
Yeah.
And like just
Such a big, goofy golden retriever of a guy.
Yeah.
and just
so
like
we're trying for a very close observation in a way, which I don't think a lot of I don't see a lot in comics. I think Jason Aaron does it very well, for example. And I do find that age a really exciting age to write because they don't know who they are yet. Who they are is very much a response to they want to be certain things. They're defining their personalities and the way they act in terms of how they see themselves or what they think is cool, but it's not necessarily them. And there's still the old them, like the high school them, that may not be what they want the college them to be because they're going away out of state to college, and now this is kind of a new beginning for them, for many of them.
Well, certainly not the adult independent them, by no means.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be different people at 30, the ones that are still alive.
Yeah,
and you see that some of that with some of them. Like some of them that you start off not liking, hopefully you will start to like more, and some of them that there's a moment in 7, I think, when Troy, who's a character I really like, you can see him push someone too far, and you can see a friendship just kind of fall away right there, and it's like a. And he's just being himself. He's being really nice, but he's not reading the signals someone is sending, and then
that's
he's
beautiful.
also doing it for his own reasons.
Yeah, I mean he throws at the agenda.
Like as I was reading this book, I kind of flashed back to high school, and you go from 9th to 12th grade, right? I'm sorry you made me do this, Alex, but you know how kind of in 9th, 10th grade, everybody's really mean, and people kind of ease up as time goes by, and by the end of it, everybody's like, we're getting the hell out of here, let's all kind of just be friends, right? We all kind of had that
experience. There's a reason that
what happens is they wait 2 years, and then nobody was, oh yeah, you're best buddies now.
But I felt by the end of the book...
And then 10 years later, they sent you Facebook messages.
Yes.
Remember the good times?
But I felt by the end of the book, not that everybody was friends or anything necessarily, because that definitely wasn't the case, but like how all these adverse situations brought these totally different people who at the beginning of the book despised each other, didn't understand each other, kind of together and at least opened their eyes or flipped the dynamic and let them see how the other person lives and feel how they feel with how they're viewed or portrayed in society, like the whole brother-sister, which of course isn't a sister, I thought that was very well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
And going back to the point that you made, Alex, I'm 19 and I'm in my first year of college, or community college.
Lucky.
Yeah, but so like I know exactly what you're talking about with people trying to, change themselves, sometimes completely, sometimes not completely, and trying to just have a different identity, a new one that they have, and I really get that sense in the characters.
Yeah. Another thing too is like how you, and I was reading, kind of the note you do to the end to the readers, some of those, and you kind of tackle this idea of American exceptionalism and how Americans are viewed overseas and how Americans view themselves once they are there. And I thought you really kind of hit the nail on the head as far as American exceptionalism versus American elitism. There's a difference, a big difference. And I feel like you did a very great job of doing that, because American exceptionalism isn't a bad thing to think you're great, but that doesn't mean you act better or you're an elite. And over the past 8 years politically, we've seen American exceptionalism examined, and people have said, you're anti-patriotic, you're hating America. No, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying take a break, see things from the other point of view, and try to understand one another. And I think that's the whole kind of point of your book.
Yeah, we work hard to to, because I have reservations about showing our fictional Central American country as a complete basket case, because you know, I don't want it to be that book where we're just saying, oh, you know, I mean, the places I have spent,
all the harmful things happen.
Yeah, I mean, the places I have felt in most peril in my life have been in Latin America, mostly in dodgy places, in dodgy parts of Mexico City. But you know, we also want to show it as, you know, a country where, you know, 90% of the people are just normal folk like us who are, you know, well educated, you know, have opinions about stuff, listen to pop music, have nice phones, have, you know, they have good hospitals. You know, things are frustrating occasionally, but you know, most people are just making do. It's not like they're all like out to get students. It's just more that the students don't understand a lot of the subtext that's going on in the country and are making decisions that aren't necessarily intelligent decisions, either because they don't have many options because they're stuck, or because, you know, they're kind of this like 17, 18-year-old, I'm in this like fluffy bubble and nothing can really hurt me, even though I've actually seen people die on this trip. It's going to be okay because nothing really bad has ever happened to me, and therefore I can't really conceive of anything bad happening to me.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Hey Carla, I wanted to ask you, your artwork on this book really does an amazing job of bringing the words to life, and I'm horrible when it comes to talking about art and art styles. Can you talk to us a little bit about your art in this book and you know, some of the choices you made for the artwork?
Well, what it comes down to, what makes a successful art style for any given book is whether or not, you know, the person in question, you know, suits what's going on. Alex and I talked about this a lot not too long ago. My style, if you put it on the scale of cartoony to realistic,
right,
you know, sits a little bit closer to cartoony. I don't know. There are certain stories that require a more textured approach, I suppose.
right.
But what I'm good with is personality and facial expressions, posture and gesture, all that other kind of stuff. If you spend a lot of time wanting me to draw exploding helicopters, I will not be happy. I will do them. I will do them, but I will not be happy doing them. If you want me to blow through 20 or 30 pages of two people in bad-fitting suits screaming at each other in a dingy room, I can blast through that, and everybody will write in the fan mail saying, "Oh wow, how did you ever get all that nuance out of two ugly guys in bad suits yelling at each other?" Well, that's just the charm of it all. You know, I can sit down and design an ensemble cast of teenagers or 40-somethings or 5-year-olds, and they will all look different, and they will all have their own way of, you know, at yelling at each other or crying or laughing or what have you. That is what I'm good at. I'm not much of a pasticheur. I can't change my style with every book that I do, although, you know, there are subtle differences. I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, the queen of that or anything. But, you know, if you give me a daft, goofy character like Travis, who really thinks that dumpster diving is going to save the world, and a character that, you know, really can't get her head up off of her, you know, her iPhone long enough to look anybody in the eye, and, you know, a little quiet dude that everybody underestimates and doesn't pay any attention to.
He's the greatest. I love him so much.
He's the best. And, you know, all of that range I can do. You know.
And they will all stand differently and move differently and have different expressions.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like going back to Anthony, like just the facial expressions you give him, and because he can't
verbalize much.
Yeah, because he can't really speak. He has to communicate through, you know, expressions just in general. But like the facial expressions you give him, like when people are giving him crap, and like there's the scene in issue 5 where he and the other kid are at the embassy, and they're asking for like food and an iPhone charger and stuff like that. Like the expressions on his face are fantastic.
Yeah.
And the one of my favorite all time favorite things and possibly anything I've ever read is when oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Come back to me in 1 second. Oh god.
Kira, Gina, Tiffany. Describe her. Which one?
1 sec, I have her here. Okay. Is when Gina and Kira are talking.
Oh, the
yes.
pitch one, yeah.
Yes. Just the.
That was so. I lettered that like I do really crazy lettering on the book, and I send it to Carla and Jen, our color artists, and be like, guys, have I gone too far? And they're always like, no, it's great. They completely enable me.
Ball lettering, do the
have, like, giant letters over someone's face.
Right.
Yes. That, and just like the way that the balloon like stretched over her chin, and all you saw was like her really pursed lips.
Yeah.
And just like the kind of just red on her face, it was great. Like that's the kind of it's a book that really, like I said this before we started recording. It's a book that makes you like pump your fist in joy and laughter while also like having you scream on the inside as you watch all these people die.
I also gotta say, just gotta echo what everybody else is saying. When somebody's talking by a campfire, it's just as interesting as when the bus goes over the cliff or when the coyotes attack. You have a good knack for human interaction and expressing that and emotions, like Tyler was saying. That was very well done, Carla. And I was talking to Carla before we went on the air, and I meant this in the highest of compliments. Her work reminds me a lot of John Romita Jr.'s work. When the kids were sitting around talking, I kind of, in my head, went to Dave talking to his friends at the comic book shop in Kick-Ass. Now, completely different situation, but the interaction was nailed by Romita Jr., and Carla nailed the interaction here with much higher stakes. And Carla, that's a compliment from me. I'm a big fan of Romita Jr. So.
Yeah, Carla. We were thrilled to have Carla on the book because she is like her people are just natural. Like she looks at people and she sees us. There was a while in comics where I just felt that like comic artists need to go to the mall and actually look at kids in a way that wouldn't get them arrested. So,
in other words, not the way Anthony looks at other people.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hard lip reading. It's very hard.
Yeah.
That was a great scene too. Just like, I love him so much.
Yeah. That was one of the slow. Like there have been a bunch of reveals in the book because obviously we plan it quite severely.
Yeah.
Any comic book is a balance of extreme forward planning and winging it. And the Anthony reveal, which was I think in issue 2 or 3, I can't really remember. Maybe 2, maybe?
2.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun because it was fun. It was a lot of the storytelling structure of the book is based on manga and anime. There's like things like Death Note and Attack on Titan, where I'm really fascinated by their story structure because there's in either like in Attack on Titan there's a big bad. There are titans. They eat people. But in some ways they're not they're not what drives the story. Like what drives the story is this constant the sense of discovery that both like thing starts and there's a big bad, so you immediately are thinking about the big bad. But what you don't think about, you make all these assumptions about the characters and about the world, and what the book is essentially doing over the course of the books and the anime is it's teaching you that almost everything you've assumed about the characters in the world is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's fun, and that's what we wanted to do with No Mercy in a way, and have you make a lot of assumptions about the kids that would be not super wrong, but kind of incorrect. And nowhere did we say that like he wasn't deaf. It's just that you assumed he wasn't deaf. He was just a weirdo, and much as in the way that if you were on that bus and there was a kid you like didn't really want to talk to, or was sitting in the back of the bus and you just didn't interact with, that you'd make all sorts of offhand assumptions about them. Not even consciously, not even in a mean way. It's like, oh, there's like the metalhead kid. I'm not really into metalheads. I think I'll sit over here.
Yeah.
You know, he's not very talkative.
That coming.
Yes.
You think you know these kids? Hardy har har.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and some of the grown-ups.
there's a scene in issue 6, which we won't spoil, that like it's such a major reveal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not handled like with like there's no like full page spread of this character going, oh my gosh, da 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 da.
Or Captain, or like North Star coming out to Captain Canuck in like the frozen food section.
Yeah.
Hey, at least it's not as horribly handled as Iceman and Jean Grey.
Yeah.
But I could talk about that for hours.
Bendis, what happened?
Where was it? Yeah, but like
reveal, though, yeah.
The reveal in 6. Yeah.
Like it's just and the way that Travis and Gina were talking, and like she realizes that Travis isn't really freaking, and like that was done.
Well, I think he is, but he's not like there are all these parameters of like.
Yeah.
He also takes handouts from his parents, and like he's not necessarily like as down. He's not necessarily what he presents himself as.
Yeah, he
wants to be. He really wants to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But which is something we've all done. I mean, let's face it. Like we've all been like, oh yeah, I totally into that. Right. To impress somebody. Well, if you haven't, you're a better person than me. That wouldn't be hard, but but yeah, we try to
without.
We try to like the reveal and the big reveal in 6. We try to we're trying to do this in a closely observed way. In real life, that reveal would be like a very Harold Pinter moment. It would be just this very quiet kind of like because they don't need like they don't need to explain a lot to each other. There's a lot that's understood.
Yeah.
And one thing that bugs me in comics is when I don't mind exposition. I don't mind captions, I'm good with the whole full Jeff Loeb, like it's all captions, that's good. I've done that. But when two characters would know something, you have to find a really clever way to reveal that to the audience that is in keeping with how they would relate to each other about it. Like one of them is not going to start explaining it to the other one or making a big deal out of it because like it's only a reveal to you.
Yeah.
Not a reveal to them.
Of course, that would be a totally different scene. Why are you just blurting this out like this?
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see how some of the characters come to terms much easier with kind of getting beneath the facade that they have put on, getting toward their real personality as opposed to a culture, a shape personality that they've carved for yourself, like you mentioned, that they carved for themselves, like you mentioned earlier. And how some characters just refuse to accept and embrace who they really are. And that's the way some people are, and you nailed that. So that's what made my jaw kind of hit the ground. Not necessarily the reveal, but what you did with the reveal. And just...
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So
the 6 is going to be a big issue. Like, it's going to... it was... If you're not scared when you're writing, you're not doing it right, and that was a scary one to write, because there are a whole bunch of issues involved, and yeah.
Yeah, there's another scene in 6 that I really enjoyed. It involved computers.
What? So
yeah.
Ladies, any little snippets you can give us about what we can expect from our band of survivors in the future?
Well, we've got this arc ends at 9, and I've written up through 9. I need to get my active escapes on next month and start writing more. 7 and 8 are 8 is essentially the end of the arc per se. There's like 3 like. I'm really proud that in like issue 8 there are 3 mic drops, and a couple of them are like they they dent the floor.
More than issue 6.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, but again, they're like one of them is just something you see and you're like, oh shit, that wasn't expected.
Oh God.
And the other 2 are just like one of them is just one line. and the other one is at 1 page, and they're very, again, they're very, very underplayed, but when they hit like a wrecking ball. And then 9 is a flashback issue dealing with some poor schooling decisions that Charlene's parents made.
Oh my God!
Oh. So the issue 9 is the Charlene goes to the troubled teen school.
Are you trying to like break me?
And it's a standalone single one and done story. And I really like the first 4 pages. Like 9 is it's a 9 will break a lot of people.
Yeah.
We already broke Tyler.
Yeah,
It's
Tyler.
not,
It's Tyler.
It's about really damaged kids,
Yeah.
or kids that whose parents are simply not parenting.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's like a big mess of chicken and egg in that. And in some ways, Charlene is the least damaged person there. But the first 4 pages of it, there's like a little bit. I'm really proud of the page 1 to 2 page turn in that. It's not a reveal, or anything. Well, it sort of is a reveal, but it's just kind of amusing for me. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see the rest of it. And you ladies did some really amazing stuff in this book. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming to talk to us about it, ladies.
The trade is out right now. The issues 1 to 4.
Okay.
Nice cheap $9.99 image trade.
And there's so much. You get all of Alex's like really awesome essays, and they're awesome to just read.
Thank you. Yeah, Alex's misspent youth. Boy, was it misspent. And then we have issue 5 already out, and then issue 6 comes out tomorrow. So it's a really good time to kind of catch up on. I think it's all cheap on Comixology as well, so you can stock up there. And the book is quite a dense read. There's a lot of story packed into the somewhere between 22 and 26 pages of story every month. So it feels like it's a hard one to skim through.
That's that Chris Claremont impact coming out on you right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, just value for money. I feel like I'm not doing my job as a writer if it's like splash page. Yeah. And every issue there are a couple of splash pages. I like splash pages, but there's also a lot of like meat in there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So,
and emoji. Lots of emojis.
And emoji. Miss Carla, what were you going to say?
So this is the first 12 inked pages of issue number 8. Which of these pages shall I show them, Alex? None of them have lettering, of course, since it's just the bare art.
Hang on, I'm not seeing anything. They're in the Dropbox though, aren't they?
I've got up to Travis and his new friends hollering at his mom.
Yeah, because obviously they call home. Hang on a sec.
Of course. I've got the curandera. I've got the big Ines reveal. I've got.
I don't think we should do a reveal. Hang on a sec.
No, maybe not that one. I've got Braulio being Braulio.
Okay, hang on a sec. Why is this taking so long to open? Come on, you can do it, computer. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Gina's mom won't really. Come on, sorry. It's opening like 43 meg files in preview.
It might be a Geeks Worldwide exclusive first reveal of pages from issue 8 of No Mercy.
First reaction sounds to pages that will probably break people.
Bear in mind, of course, that there's no lettering, so you'll only know what's going on.
We probably can't do the Braulio stuff because
yeah, none of that.
There's a character issue there. 8, we've got.
Ines rocking the hospital, Johnny.
Let's do 9. Let's do the Inez little.
Alrighty.
9 and maybe 10.
9 and maybe 10. Alright. So. Alright, guys, are you ready?
We're ready.
Yes.
Alright. Give it up for Sister Enos.
Wow. Nice.
That
Very
looks
nice.
awesome.
And
That's awesome.
let's see, number 10. Number 10.
All right.
We are here
Ooh.
at the quaint home of a curandera, trying to talk her into something to which she has said no.
Just look at the faces on that middle panel below the grandmother. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That
The
looks.
grandmother with
That-
the iPhone 6s. Like that was the other thing. Is you know, like again, like they're in this like remote mountain village where you know there's basically a whole tourism culture around going and taking magic mushrooms, and like the old grandparent like totally has a 6s.
And everybody listening on iTunes on your way to work right now, a week later, this is why you need to watch the video podcast on Tuesday nights.
There you go.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing that. Where can we find you on the interwebs?
If I can remember at this point in the day, my website is just carlaspeedmcneil.com.
Excellent.
And similar, just look for my name on Tumblr, you'll find it.
Yes.
My Twitter feed's on the website, all that kind of good jazz.
Awesome. Thank you, Carla. And Alex, where can we find you?
I'm pretty much everywhere as Alex de Campi, or yeah, just my name. AlexDeCampi.com, AlexDeCampi.tumblr.com, AlexDeCampi on Twitter. Yeah, I'm easy to
I
find.
always have to remind myself that you spell your name D-E. For some reason, I always want to like Italian you up and have it spelled D-I. I don't know why.
Yeah, I probably some weird Ellis Island spelling or something. Someone just tweeted, "Who's killed more teenagers, Alex or Jason from Friday Night?" Squad goals.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you like watching teenagers die, you should also buy Archie versus Predator. It's funny and it's incredibly gory.
Yeah.
I gave issue 1 10 stars.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, when I reviewed it for Geeks Worldwide.
A very fun book that I hope we can have you back sometime so we can talk about that book too. But
well, I've got a couple new books coming out, so when the new books get announced, I'd be more than happy to come back on and we can.
Yeah,
just
we'd
do a
love to
chat
have you
about
back
it,
on.
like,
excellent.
you know,
Silly. We'll be excited for that, ladies. Thank you so much. We're going to talk a little bit of before we head out. Before we close up the show tonight, we'd love to have you talk comics with us for a little bit. Who wants to go first? Brad, why don't you talk about? Did you read any books this week?
Yeah, I actually read a lot of books this week. So I told you.
Let's talk 2 quick ones.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm actually going to sign off because I haven't read any books this week, so I've been hand lettering comics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil them, so I might buy some books.
No, yeah.
Alex, thank
we'll
you so
see you
much.
guys
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. We loved having you, and thank you for all the amazing stuff that you've put out.
No problem. You guys are an absolute blast, and I had such fun. So
Thank you.
thank you
Bye.
so much.
now tell me what comics I should buy. I'll listen to them later.
Midnighter.
The Legend of
Midnighter's
Wonder
the
Woman.
best. I love
Yes.
Midnighter. Oh my god.
It's so good.
Steve Orlando, like Steve, you're my.
Oh my god. Okay, have you read Virtual?
I've got it on my nightstand, and I'm getting there.
The last page, it made me just like uncontrollably sob for like 10 minutes. It's so good.
I love Midnighter also. It's hot. It's fun. There's like a ridiculous amount of violence. You know.
That first issue scene where he's like it's they're having sex but like they don't show anything. Like
Yeah.
it's so good.
Steve should write everything. I want Steve.
Yes.
to
And a Constantine, Hellblazer. The
Which I haven't read. I haven't been reading yet.
That one's really good.
Yeah.
I think the first trade is going to come out here soon, so you might as just get that in trade form.
Yeah.
It's really good. There's a lot of.
See, I'm like OG Vertigo, so I struggled through years of really crappy Hellblazer.
I've talked to people who read the actual like old Constantine Vertigo stuff, and this is going back to that.
Which fabulous. I'm still not quite sure I'm ready to come back to Constantine in a way.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure I'll pick it up at some point, but it'll be one of these things where I'm over to friends. Like when I go stay with my friends in New York who have all the comic books, they'll have a trade and I'll read it like sitting on their sofa.
Awesome.
It's that kind of book, and then maybe I'll dig into it. But
I'm going to tell you right now that it's Constantine. He flirts with like a dude who runs a restaurant, and his ghost friends are like, they're teasing him about it, and it's great. It's just good comics.
Have a good night, Alex. Thank you.
I will. Good night.
Goodbye.
Good, Alex.
All right, so I'm going to tell you real quick, because I know we're getting toward the end here. 2 books I read. Legend of Wonder Woman. Casey and I, our comics editor at Geeks Worldwide, cannot rave enough about this book. Written by Renee DeLiz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I know that's the most southern way to ever pronounce that name. But it's going to be a 9-part story, and I know what you're thinking. That's a bit overwhelming. But it really looks like DC has taken the time to give us a definitive Wonder Woman origin story. We have it with Batman Year One. We have Superman for All Seasons, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And they're doing it for Wonder Woman here. DC was gracious enough to send us a review copy. Casey's going to have a review for that on the site going live tomorrow. And I would give it a strong 10. And the other thing I'm going to say is not a book. I'm going to plug Marvel Unlimited real quick.
Okay.
As coming from a guy who has a ton of long boxes in closets and who's collected comics since 2003, it was real hard to let the paper go. But when I figured out how much money I could save, maybe instead of spending $60 a month on comics, Marvel Comics, get $10 a month if I can wait 6 months for the new releases. It's beautiful. The guided reading's beautiful. If you have a tablet, Agassicles on the site has been trying to get me to go to the dark side of digital for a long time, and I think 2016 is the year I'll embrace digital. We're fortunate enough to get a lot of review stuff, but a lot of Marvel and DC stuff we don't get. So we get Marvel Unlimited for the Marvel, and then do some Comixology that usually has real good deals for the DC stuff. But of course, none of that compares to the Image type stuff like No Mercy. But
yeah, for sure. we need the real thing for that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Carla, have you read anything?
Actually,
What you got for us, Carla?
I'm getting caught up on this here manga. It's called The Bride's Story by Kaoru Mori, and the line work in this is just insane because it's set in the Caspian Sea, Black Sea, Silk Road area during the 18th century, and most of the people that you're dealing with are nomads, and nomadic culture is really interesting visually because, of course, everything has to be portable, and so their art forms tend to be personal items. Basically, these people embroidered everything. We're not talking potholders here. They embroidered everything. A woman couldn't get married unless she had produced something like 40 items for household use. Wow. Or, just starting with sheets and moving on to clothes. Everything was completely covered with elaborate designs. And, so Mori has really, knocked herself out to depict all of this stuff. Yeah. And each, is dealing with the social situation of a different, young woman, and some of them are completely, just completely insane people. Like, okay, we're going to drop a rock on the head of the next decent-looking guy who comes across this bridge because I am tired of living at home. And the next one's going to be, a woman living in the lap of luxury with a husband who adores her, and everything she could possibly want, but she's bored to death because she's alone.
Yeah.
You know, and the lengths to which she'll go, and the things she ends up doing in order to have somebody besides, you know, a maidservant who she's fond of, but who is not, you know, a sister of the heart, as it were, to share her life with, you know.
Yeah.
It's really it's stuff that you're not used to seeing in comics if you've grown up in America.
Yeah.
And it's melodrama certainly, but it's really interesting stuff just the same and beautifully depicted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's about, you know, I want to say 8 of those now, and I've only got 3, so I've got some catching up to do. But I've got my hands on a couple of them now, and they're just a lot of fun. They do things in unexpected.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome.
Boy, I'm so bad at self-promotion. I haven't even said anything about my regular gigs.
Yeah.
Not that No Mercy isn't a regular gig, but
Yeah.
since '96, I've been doing a science fiction book called Finder. I self-published for over 10 years, and then I got taken on by Dark Horse.
Right.
And my latest story is updating an 8-page hunks in Dark Horse Presents.
Ooh.
So, you know, bada bing and all that kind of good stuff. I just got done doing issue number 9 of another Dark Horse book by Cullen Bunn, Tyler Crook, called Harrow County.
Oh.
So much fun doing that book. I honestly didn't know about it before this job just sort of landed in my lap. You know, hey, have you got a minute to? No, oh, okay, no problem. This looks like fun. And I got to do an entire issue with the character who fast became my favorite. So it really
That's awesome.
just kind of fell into my lap.
Very cool.
That's issue number 9. All skinless boy all the time. So yeah.
Awesome. Brad, you look like you were going to say something.
No, I just think it's awesome she gets to work on Harrow County. I
Yeah.
need to catch up on that.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Must do now, brother. I want to do that now too.
Must do. Make go fast.
Yes. Carla,
We're-
thank you. Thank you for talking to us about cool, not regular comic stuff. Tyler, two quick books you want to talk about this week?
I only The Ultimates, which is the Avengers book that they should be promoting as the lead Avengers book. It's basically like super science team of awesome people doing awesome things, and this issue introduced even more awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. Everyone should go read, and the art on it is amazing.
Who's the artist, Tyler? You know?
Oh God, hang on. Let me check. I think it's Kenneth Rockeford. Load. Oh, hang on.
You're out somebody.
It is. Oh yeah, Kenneth Rockefort. Kenneth Rockefort
Okay.
is the artist, and he is amazing. And also props to Dan Brown, who's the colorist.
Yeah.
Like just the art team on this is reason enough to buy the book. There's beautiful things with Carol Danvers, Miss America, Spectrum. I mean, it is the book that they should be promoting as the lead Avengers team. It is that good.
No, we've already done too much thinking during Secret Wars, so I don't want any smart sciencey stuff, Tyler, right now. So.
But they punch holes through reality.
You just want dumb explosions and.
That's right. I want a bunch of helicopters exploding. That's what I want. I'm
I can do it.
joking. I know you can.
They're just not my happy place.
That's right. Anything else, Tyler?
Nope. And Midnighter. But
Okay. Yeah.
you probably guessed that.
You read that every day, though. Like when you wake up.
I do.
That's the first thing you do. It's like the newspaper for most people.
It's there's a lot there. There's a lot to just gaze over dreamily.
Awesome, thank you, brother. My 2 books, surprise, were Star Wars books. We got the conclusion this week of the Vader Down story arc that spanned like 3 different Star Wars books. Spoiler: Vader survives.
Oh.
What?
He's got to go on.
Answer 8-year-old. Has anybody ever just finally broken down and done an all Wookiee story?
Well, there is a Chewbacca comic out
I
now.
was totally denied Wookiee Planet. Totally denied it by those damned Ewoks.
Yes, there is a
Kashyyyk
book.
is that planet.
Yes, but the Star Wars issue number 14, which was number 5 of the Vader Down story arc, has an all-out like death brawl between like Chewie and I can't think of the other Wookiee's name right now.
Kiss starts with a K.
Itchy.
Yeah. What did you say, Carla?
Not Uncle Itchy. Don't take down Uncle Itchy.
No. This is like some really bad like Wookiee, like is he a bounty hunter? I want to say.
Yeah, he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah, he
like
is.
Crossshoe or something like that.
No.
Kristan something or other.
There you go.
The hair braiding salon.
Yes. An all-out brawl between him, and then the last book you have an all-out brawl between Vader and the guy. Only way I can describe him is he's a cross between General Grievous with the head of Admiral Akbar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's got the same mechanical body with the 4 separating arms and the 4.
And then the big fish head.
He's a Mon Calamari.
Yes. He has a Mon Calamari head, and he's got the crazy like claw-like feet that General Grievous had. So. Some
awesome.
major epic battles going on in the last 2 books, and of course Vader survives with a little bit more information about the young rebel who helped destroy the first Death Star. So definitely a good conclusion to that Vader Down story arc, which is one of my favorites so far. But that's all I read. Other than that, I started reading the novelization for episode 7, and I'm only about like 4 chapters in, and it's already like added so much more to the movie.
So it's worth reading.
It's worth reading for sure.
Okay, the episode 3 one is the one that I love because you hear what Anakin's thinking in his head as he's about to make that. One. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to read this.
Yeah, if you like that, you'll like this, Brad. So it's definitely worth picking it up. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's it for this week. Well, hopefully we'll get to some news next week about maybe like how they kind of said that there's going to be like 67 something characters in the Infinity War movies.
I tried to list them all today, and I had to really
scratch your head?
Scratch my head, and I know that universe pretty well. Yeah. And maybe we can talk about Dead No More.
Yes, Dead No More. Dead No More.
The next Marvel event.
Yes. But anyways, that's it for the show, guys. Brad Bell, you want to give us a final thought real quick for the week?
Yes, sir. My final thought is thank you to all the people at Geeks Worldwide who reached out to me when my grandfather was sick and as we went through his passing and just I had a lot of, anxiety. It's kind of like a second dad to me, and I just had to step back, and a lot of y'all know that, a lot of y'all don't, so that's kind of why I've been absent. Some people joked it was because of football season, but it really wasn't. Yeah. So thank you so much. We're like a little family here, and some of us have been here a long time, a lot longer than me, and you really bond with those people when you're chatting with them all week and doing podcasts and talking about the stuff we love, and it's a good distraction. So guys, thanks for letting me come back on, and I should be back for the foreseeable future to help out with content on the site. Maybe I'll be on Capes every now and again, like tonight. So thank you, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at The Real Brad Bell, REEL. Brad Bell.
Brad, I'm glad to have you back, man. You always have a place here on this show, so we're glad to have you, man.
Thanks.
Anytime we can get you, man. Miss Carla, do you have a final thought for us this week?
Find No Mercy.
Excellent to one another. I don't know. I got to get up in the morning and eat more No Mercy. That's all I got.
Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
They're West Coast, I think. I don't know about Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Portland.
Oh, y'all are so lucky.
Yeah, we're sorry we keep you guys up so late.
That's all right. It's worth it. It's worth it.
We're old. We got jobs.
I know, right? Tyler, what do you got for your final thought this week, sir?
By No Mercy, it's a great, great book, and this issue will knock your socks off. I tried to make a shoe pun, but that didn't go so well.
Foot jokes are good.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler, for being back on this week too. It's great having you back, guys.
Yeah, it was great to be back.
As always, keep checking out the GWW.com for all your latest in comics, movies, games, tech, cosplay, anything you can think of under the sun that might tickle your geek fancy. It's kind of weird, but whatever. whatever geek fancies you got, we got some of it. All right. So keep checking us out. As always, thank you for joining us. You can find us on Twitter at GWW Capes Crew. You can find me at Darth Sparrow. And as always, we'll catch you guys on the geek side. Boom.